Aldana 1. Tac. Alors nous avons beaucoup de chance parce que nous accueillons David Aldana. Il faut bien dire David.
Oui.
David, bienvenue en France.
Oui, d'accord.
Surtout que tu parles quelques mots de français.
Un petit peu.
Un petit peu, mais tu parles très bien espagnol.
Oui, también.
Yo también, très bien.
For all you international people, I speak Spanish.
Yes. Mais on va quand même faire cette interview en anglais et notre ami Francis se chargera de vous traduire tout ça. So, welcome to France. Just tell us, you've been racing in France. You came quite a few times.
Yes, over my racing career, I did 3 years on the Endurance World Championship Series, riding the Honda factory endurance machine, and then 2 more years on the Elf Honda, which was very unique in that it changed the design of engines and different components that were ahead of its time. Just a side note, they were, if I'm not mistaken, were the first bikes to have carbon disc brakes.
Yes.
And when they got hot at the end of the straightaway at Paul Ricard or some of the circuits that had long straightaways, you put the brakes on, and at the very end, it would really, really stop. But they looked like volcanic rock.
So right.
And then so I spent a lot of time racing different bikes. My career allowed me to have a long career in that I was able to ride about anything.
So let's start. How did it start? In fact, in California when you were young?
Yes, my uncle had a motorcycle, and that encouraged my father to get a motorcycle. And for a long time, my father promised he'd buy me a motorcycle, and kept saying, "Yes, tomorrow." Well,
Dad, I want my bike.
We know tomorrow never comes, and so he bought me an 80cc Suzuki, and I was about 14 years old. And he would not take me to the races every weekend, which I wanted to do. So I got to race maybe 3 or 4 times a year. And when I turned 16 in America, you can drive yourself. So I got a van, 1962 Ford Econoline. If anybody knows, it's a predecessor to the vans that people use.
Yes.
And when I turned 16, I got a job at a motorcycle shop working at Irv Seavers. They did Suzuki's, BSA's, BMW's, and I learned to work on machines, and I was getting a paycheck. And I would get my check, and I would go racing. I took myself to the races at 16. I rode Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Friday at Ascot, which was a local professional track, and then scrambles on Saturday and Sunday. And I did that for 2 years, and then when I turned 18, I got a factory ride, a sponsorship with BSA, and I rode a B25 in California, and I won. I was a California State TT champion on that. I lost the other races on a half mile, which is a bigger track, to Yamaha Twins, TD, whatever they were called.
Yes, TD1?
Yeah. They were way faster.
Yeah.
I could not even make the main event on my BS8 on the half mile, but on the TT I could win. And then I got continued the factory ride with BSA. My amateur year, I was a high point amateur in America. I traveled the circuit, and which meant about 25 or 6 races in a year. And as a rookie expert, I was also sponsored with BSA, and they also came out in 1970 with a BSA triple.
We must say our people here in France that what you call the TT, which is in fact TT steeplechase, is in fact a kind of flat track with bumps, with jumps.
It has a right and left hand turns with a jump in it.
And you have right and left turns.
Yeah, and I'm sure the phrase comes from now, the man tourist trophy.
Yes.
That's where we say TT, but I don't think a lot of the American riders today even know that it's referred to tourist trophy.
Yes.
And some of the jumps that they have today are.
But you were good there, but was this TT with right and left turns preparing better for road racing than pure dirt track, or you only turn left?
I believe so. By the time I turned expert, I was 19, 20 years old, and so after that, my racing involved going overseas. We didn't come to France at the beginning, but we went to England, which allowed us to make a showing against the Europeans.
But you go too fast.
Well, I'm always fast.
Yeah, right. But tell me, so you said you work in a motorcycle shop, so you work on 4-stroke and 2-stroke engines?
Mainly 2 strokes.
Mainly 2-stroke.
Because
But you said BMW and all BSA
That's
engines?
right. And when I was an amateur, I had my own BSA, or they gave us BSA.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
when I was traveling on the circuit and something had to be done, I was the only one there to do it. Because back in 1969 and 70, most mechanics had jobs. And they worked on racing machines on the weekend.
For fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And it didn't become really professional until maybe the 80s, where mechanics were full-time racers.
Racing,
And that was,
yeah.
I think, came about with Honda and the Japanese manufacturers when they started getting involved real strong in the 80s.
So, the start of the 70s, you just become an expert, but still you're looking for money and sponsorship, and it's difficult to get that.
It was because at the beginning with motorcycles, you went to the motorcycle oil companies, the motorcycle spark plug people, the motorcycle leather people. It wasn't until the late 70s and 80s when myself and Gene Romero, who I hung around with a lot, we went outside of motorcycles to find sponsorship. He had people like Evel Knievel, who was a stuntman.
Yes.
He had Ocean Pacific, which was a clothing manufacturer. He had a stereo company. I went out and got some sponsorships outside of motorcycling too. They were car people, but the guy liked motorcycles, so I had a couple people that were involved with cars that transitioned into motorcycles.
You did the skeleton in 75, right?
I believe so. You probably know.
Was it to gain publicity for a track?
At the beginning, it was to show my potential sponsors that they missed an opportunity to have their name on my leathers. And so when I had...
Tell me the story. When have you done it for the first time?
Well, you can only do anything for the first time once.
Yes. But first race with these leathers.
Well, before that even, I was getting ready for our first national event, which was inside the Houston Astrodome. And it
huge
probably
race, big race.
Yeah, it was the first race of the year, and we were all getting ready, obviously, for the first race of the season. And in California, Kenny Roberts, who was riding for Yamaha, and myself, I had a privateer Harley Davidson, which I was looking for a sponsorship, and like I said, I didn't have any. That we were practicing our machines, and he had his brand new Yamaha leathers, and I had mine, but they were covered up with coveralls. And Kenny Roberts throughout the day was asking me, "Let me see your leathers. Let me see your leathers." Because every year everyone got new leathers.
Acted just like if you want to hide some big sponsor.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, I opened them up, and he fell over, almost fell off his motorcycle. He was laughing so hard. He was laughing and laughing, and I thought, "Oh boy, what have I done here?" So we went to the first race, as you asked, and wore them in public. And I was getting a lot of attention, obviously. And when I saw the people looking, their heads turning this way and pointing, I thought, they're looking at me. I better go faster. I'm going to look like a real idiot. So I'm glad I can make the cameraman laugh too. I rode very aggressively, and I knocked down this rider who was very, very big and very strong. And I knocked him down. I knew he was going to be upset. And when I came into the pits, I came in and I could feel some motorcycle tires on my legs. And I hear, and bang, bang, he was hitting me with his motorcycle. I didn't have to turn around to look to see it was Jimmy Odom, good friend of mine. I thought, he's going to be angry. So I went into the pit area and I sat on my toolbox and I left my helmet on. I did not take my helmet off. That way he couldn't hit me because I thought he was going to hit me. So the people in the audience and the spectators and AMA were trying to penalize me for being a rough rider, for running into Odom and knocking him down. And I transferred into the main event, and he did not. So they had to have a conference, special meeting. And everyone thought it was because of my leather suit, because I got a lot of publicity for it. And the AMA, they thought I was being ridiculous, and I was getting good publicity. So I never explained the whole truth to everybody, that I was being punished for rough riding, not being punished for having a leather suit. And so the AMA, which I don't believe had our best interests at heart, because we should have been racing for big money a long time ago. And I always was against the way that they did things. And so they didn't like me and I didn't like them. So when for their punishment, they told me, you are going to be penalized. You're not going to be able to ride a motorcycle for, let's say, 28 days. Well, it was 31 days before Daytona. So they penalized me with no penalty.
Yeah.
But everyone thought, David, you made big problems. You made a big problem with the AMA. And so I never straightened that story out. And I got more publicity. I got my picture taken more times. And even today, if you can, and you can believe it because you're witnessing it now. I did that in 1975, and here it is, 45 years later, and people still remember that leather suit.
But I remember me. I went to Daytona that year to report for Moto Journal, my magazine. But even before leaving France, I was obsessed to do one picture, you with your new suit with a skeleton,
Mm-hmm.
And I still have the picture. It's the one you saw in the program, okay? And I had to come back to France with that picture. Otherwise, I told me, hey, you run nuts, you don't know your job. We need this Aldana with that suit. And luckily, you had the suit in Daytona. I took the picture and we took it back. And as you said, people remember you for this. And even here in Dijon, they ask, will David come with the leathers?
That's right.
I was not worried about that.
I was surprised. I thought, well, I'll ride a Honda, because I rode Honda endurance bikes and I rode Honda leather suit for the factory. And I thought that they would want me on a Honda with lights and endurance trim racing, for endurance. And they said, oh, no, just bring your bones leathers and we have a BSA. I thought, oh, a BSA? Why a BSA? With all the machinery out there to choose from, they want me to ride a...
Yes, but you said it. Your first races in Europe was what they call the Anglo-American match.
That's right.
And you were a team of American riders against a team of British guys, all right? One year, I think you were even American captain, right?
Yes, when we won the series, I was a captain.
So the very first series, you were on BSA, and then the following ones, you rode Suzuki's as well.
I rode a TZ750,
And
a
TZ750.
Suzuki, I rode a Norton, I rode a Yoshimura Suzuki. I always considered myself, after riding BSA, which was a real shock and a disappointment when we were all fired when Triumph and BSA quit making motorcycles. Wow. I thought, like Bart Markle, who rode a Harley Davidson all through his career, I was going to ride a BSA, I was going to make a lot of money on one factory and be number one, and it all disappeared.
And then it collapsed.
So I thought to myself right then and there is no loyalty in being with one machine.
Yes, you're right.
And so I thought to myself, that will never happen again to me. And I think of myself as a professional motorcycle racer as the first free agent. I went to whoever paid me the most money. And I would work one company against another company. And like you said about making money outside sponsorship, I tried to do the same thing against each other, and that is against the Yamaha, against Suzuki, because I had something I could sell. And I was going to sell them my life, if that's what it took.
And your name, David Aldana.
That's right.
And preparing...
I did pretty good.
Yeah, sure, because when I prepared this, I was happy to see you back and that you could be here in Coupe Moto Légende in Dijon. But looking at picture, I realized also you've been really clever, because some years you had a contract with a trade, a motorcycle factory. And when you would race another trade, another bike, you would then wear the skeleton leathers, right? That's very clever, because you show your independence.
Right. I always, like I said, I thought I was the first free agent, and I could sell myself because I believe in myself.
Yes.
I honestly believe that, and it's the way I was brought up in America, that you can be anything you want to be if you put your mind to it. And if you work hard, you make the effort, you can be successful. And Kenny Roberts or Marquez, they put practice. They put a lot of effort into that. It's not just one day you wake up and you're a good motorcycle racer.
Tell me, we know you were good at racing. You won the Grand National races,
right?
But Were you dedicated enough? Because you had the reputation to be a hard-time player, you understand? You talk about Kenny Roberts, but everybody knew Kenny was 100% dedicated to racing. He wouldn't go chasing girl. He would go having a drink with the friends in a bar.
Are you saying that I did all that?
Well, I'm asking you the question.
Yeah.
I think you did it. Tell us the truth. My question is, were you serious enough to be number one, or did you prefer enjoy life?
Oh, I enjoy life, that's for sure. But to answer your question, honestly, I think when I look back in my career, I could have been more successful had I been more devoted in making that commitment. But I also had difficulties in trying to collect my start money, which discouraged me because I wanted racing to be fun and enjoy it. But when I had to make that extra effort to talk to some promoter who was, I forget his names now, but trying to get my money, it was just like it wasn't worth it. And I could make more money, as much money, if I just stayed home. Because back in the olden days, I say olden days, in the 70s and early 80s, to travel in Europe is a lot more difficult, or was a lot more difficult than today with the open borders.
And you have to struggle at every race for money.
I used to see when Barry Sheene, we rode factory Suzukis together, he opened up the back of the van when he had his Suzukis in there, and he had all of these T-shirts and stickers and everything right at the back doors, because he knew when he went through customs or through the next border, he would give the police and customs people wine, stickers, T-shirts, and so I thought, this is too much. This is too much.
Yeah. Or on the other side, you had to do just like Kenny Roberts, have a commercial agent taking care of you, but it's another way of doing it.
That's right. And I thought to myself, I'm not going to give that guy 10% of my money when I can do the same damn thing myself.
So you're just greedy.
That's right. And and a lot of those people, not Kenny necessarily, but a lot of those people now have to work for a living. And I, very fortunately, I made money and I saved my money and I invested it in some good investments, and I have never had to get a job.
So what did you invest?
I bought property, real estate.
All right.
And developed to build houses.
Okay.
And I made good money doing that.
You're a real estate promoter.
I'm a tycoon.
Oh.
No, don't come to borrow any money from me. I don't have it. But I was very lucky, and I made some good investments. And now, 50 years later, the investments I made are paying more and more dividends.
Good.
And another thing too is after I stopped racing, or started to get to the end of my racing career, I got married, so I calmed down. I didn't do all those things that you accuse me of.
No.
I stopped messing around.
Sorry, David. I'm just asking.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
People say it's a kind of legend, you know. I know when it's true. Aldana was wearing a skeleton leather, so my question is, was sometime Aldana chasing girls or not?
But the thing is, you were sitting right next to me when I was doing all that.
Well,
so you're going down with me.
So we said we wouldn't talk about the Shark Lounge in Daytona Beach, right?
The what now?
The Shark Lounge. You remember the Shark?
Oh yes. I was on the. Yeah, I do remember. I do remember that.
Right. So the problem is we have a few memories together. Hey, you have to pay me to stop asking my questions.
No, it's the truth, like you said, and I think today's rider at the factory level could not do a lot of things that we used to do. And there's nothing wrong with having a good time, but the factory has a certain image that you must uphold to represent whatever manufacturer you're riding for, and social media has changed.
But looking back, we could may say sometimes there were two crazy times, and actually it's two straight times. Probably it could better a mix of the two. You remember John McEnroe playing tennis?
Oh yeah.
He would break his. But
are you serious? Are you serious?
Right, when he was hanging with the referee and so on. And then he was banned, and now you can't do that in tennis game.
No.
So
it's
another way of living. Anyway, so a few words about the good friend you had in England with Barry Sheene. You became really good friends.
We were, and a lot of people didn't know that, but I would stay at his house, at the Manor House near the airport.
Yes.
And it was, I don't know, it had like, I don't know, 15 rooms or something. And it had
Yes,
a big,
huge house.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And he let me stay there, and we were teammates. Well, first we met at the match races, competing against each other, and he would invite us to his house. And then I got a ride with Suzuki. Actually, when I was coming over to England, BSA, we did some testing, and the Suzukis, we did testing in England here, and I would stay with him occasionally. And we were good enough friends to where he was the best man at my wedding. I married an English lady in Ilfracombe, North Devon, and he drove. In fact, to this day, he told me the only speeding ticket he ever got in his life was going to my wedding. And we were good teammates, and fortunately or unfortunately, we were on the bike. I was on the bike or riding on the same team on the bike that blew up that rear tire that he got very, very seriously injured on. That it could have been me on that motorcycle. And after he recovered from that, he switched over to Yamaha and rode for a couple more years. And I was still friends with him, and we would go into town in his Rolls Royce. And I remember joking with him that that car never had reverse. We always went through traffic this way, and if there was a traffic going this opposite way, they would back up and get out of his way. I thought, well, this is very cool. I'm in a Rolls Royce. I'm with the world champion, and he was a god.
Everybody knew him over there. He could, if you were at Gatwick Airport, you could go through customs with no problem.
That's right. That's right.
Every cops would, he could park anywhere in the city. The cops would look after the car.
And he would pass on the opposite side of the road. I thought, no, he's going to kill us, and the cars would stop out of the way. I don't know if they could see him coming, but he was a special kind of guy. I remember listening to him being interviewed for television or magazine, and he had a way of connecting with the people that was really honest. He had a nice smile, and he said the right things, and he was very, very popular with everyone.
Yes,
and he would stop and take the time to sign autographs, to talk to people. And when we came over in the early 70s, he was 500cc world champion, and because the Americans were just not even in a rent-a-car, we were in this big lorry, and it was cold, and and it was raining. In America, we never raced under those conditions. And he invited us to his trailer, and he would make us tea, and his mother and his father would, I don't know what they had. I think they're called biscuits, or we call them cookies or whatever. Yes. We have biscuits and tea.
Yes.
And so he was very hospitable.
Yeah, and Iris, his mother, was a delicious.
Yes,
woman.
Yeah. And then we got to meet Franco, the father. Yeah. They were very good people. And Franco, we would stay up late at night, and he would tell me ghost stories that this house was haunted, and these railway men with black boots and red jackets would walk through the house, and I was afraid that there would be a ghost in the house. And one time there was a drawer opened up, and Stephanie says it's a ghost that took the socks out of the drawer.
You were afraid of ghosts?
Yeah.
You were a skeleton, but you were afraid of ghosts?
Yeah.
This man is crazy.
And I come to find out there was a cat playing with the socks.
Yes.
But it was actually the cat and not the ghost. But Franco would tell me these stories. We stay up all night.
Well, anyway, there were how many? 15, 16 cats in Barry's house.
I don't know how many they had.
And one dog.
One too many.
And one dog. You remember?
They had an Alsatian, I think.
And you remember the dog's name? Nixon.
Oh, really?
He called him Nixon.
Is that right?
Because of Gary Nixon.
Yeah. Now, they were really good friends, Gary and Barry.
Yes.
In fact, when Barry died, he left Gary Nixon some money. Made Stephanie crazy that some of the money went to Gary Nixon.
Well, he had so much money anyway.
He did good, and he was a very good promoter.
Oof,
he was good.
Very wise, very wise. I went to visit him in Australia, and one year I was preparing an article about him, so I just sent him a fax. You remember, he was always sending fax from Australia. Asked him about his property and so on, and he told me, for instance, when he bought the manor house near the airport in England, he also bought a large land with another. He had shares in a company that built a huge village with golf course.
Oh, really?
And he sold his shares when he went to Australia. He made so much profit that then he invested again in real estate and properties in Australia.
I think you can't lose with real estate.
Oh, he was really, really wise. Money-wise, he was really good.
Yeah.
And while he was in Australia, he started to work for Australian TV and so on, and at personal contracts, and was making more money than when he was racing.
I think as a professional racer, when you get out of it, a lot of people, some were not business-minded and didn't know what to do and had to get a job or go back to whatever they were doing before. And a few of us were able to parlay our money on our experiences with motorcycles, because for me, I was able to learn to speak with presidents of big companies and learn to sell myself or as you said, make wise investments by capitalizing on the opportunities that were given to us through motorcycles. Motorcycles, for me, gave me the opportunity to see and experience things that only other people dream about doing, and I was getting paid to do it, and it made me more appreciative of the things that I had, but it taught me a lot of valuable lessons about people,